Hey, welcome back to Truth Talks and Real Truth Talks. We have a couple different channels going, and been a while since there's been a video put out, but the Mark is not well enough really to do many videos and has lost the interest in them. He's just at a point where he's like done, I think that's maybe a NARC thing. Sometimes they want to do things and then, I don't know, then they don't want to talk about it anymore. But there was something I wanted to bring up and that I've been learning from Healness and Raw Motivations, Empress of Light. There's a whole bunch of other people that do talks on narcissism and narcissistic abuse, and there is an app called NARC app, NARC, by Raw Motivations, and he collaborated with some other people, and it will go on there and it tells you everything. One of the big things is about their lies and their motivations, as far as being very vindictive, very petty, very in the moment. It's a lot of, it is living with a toddler in an adult body. And I personally cannot wrap my head around it. I do not understand it. No matter how much I try, I have head knowledge, and I don't know if it's easier for somebody that is not an autistic to get it, because I'm really literal, better at it, but anyway. And one of the things that really gets me is the accusation of y'all just love drama, and you're just always fighting. You guys fight. Out of 1,000 fights, or dramatic moments, two, seriously, they start it, and if you get one that's good, they will push every button you never knew you had until you don't know whether you're coming or going. I mean, simple discussions can leave you feeling backed into a corner and leave you feeling crazy. And that's just the way it is, whether people think it's drama or not. And if you're one of those people that is living with, I will say specifically married to or in a close relationship with a NARC, and you just aren't able to get away for whatever reason, you're not able to separate from them, it is maddening and crazy making. They can start a fight all by themselves, with themselves, and they'll carry on the fight like you're fighting with them, and in my case, if you try to get away, then he chases me, and it's just, it is literally leaves me on the floor, hands over my head, just going, just stop, just go away, and then when he does go away, there's that lately, I think it's his guilt and whatnot. He'll tell people, the kids and I are plotting against him. We're trying to kill him. He's not safe. It's his guilt for all the years of abuse, probably. And so now, trying to turn it around, I don't know. I do not understand it. Because there's that thing that's always so sad, is narcissists are formed. The narcissistic personality does usually come from one of two spectrums, either the severely abusive side. There's a big different combinations where you don't feel safe, you don't feel protected, kind of like there's no real way out, or it can happen, which I think is abusive, from the way other end. You get everything you want. Nothing you do is wrong. You're catered to. I guess they used to call those spoiled brats that need their butts beat. And I know Mark's was formed from the abusive end of things, but there's also the personality thing. Is there comes a time when you kind of make a choice, you know, I'm going to get you before you get me, and that, I think that's part of their personality. You know, some people are very calm and giving, and others are very demanding, or me do it my way, and all that. And you know, Mark is very, I want it my way, I want it what I want when I want it, and if I don't get it, I'm going to throw a temper tantrum. And you know, it's one thing when they're 2, 4, 5, 6, 8, you know, but when you're almost 60 years old, and he's always had a vindictive side. He's told many stories to me and the psychologists, not one but 3, of being young, and his best friend, which was also his cousin, if he would play with or hang out, play with, you know, any of the other cousins, Mark would get mad, and then he would take his toys and go home, and then he would ignore his best friend, I think it was Davy, for weeks. He would also plot revenge on how he could get back at him for hurting him. And Mark did say, even from a younger person, 8, 9, 10 years old, and young teens, if you were hanging out with him, it was him only, just me. You know, he didn't want anybody else involved. He wanted whoever he was around's entire attention. Hence the mistress, right? We have younger children. We have a house, and everything was fine if we were riding bikes, and he wouldn't care if we were gone 10 hours a day away from the children. He had my entire attention, and that was fine. But then his rages started coming, and especially after 2017. They were really bad before too, but the real, well, no, the abuse was always there. I don't know, something changed. His anger changed, and he started blaming me more for his anger in the children, because he was fired. He had cancer, and he was fired from his job because he had cancer, and he really did feel inadequate, like he couldn't provide, and he didn't want to have to go through getting disability and whatnot, but there was no way to survive, and I wasn't allowed to work. So, you know, answering a lot of those questions, I was never allowed to work, okay? Once he cost me my job, and then there was a car wreck, and so I didn't have a vehicle. I wasn't allowed to have a vehicle. I wasn't allowed to talk with my friends or my family around him, with the constant accusations of who are you sleeping with, who are you cheating on, who are you talking to. I want to know what you're doing 24/7. Not even allowed to go to the bathroom with a phone. It was terrible. So of course, you know what, I did go a little crazy for a few years. But this victim blaming everybody else for them, you know. Mark's last day in the hospital, he attempted to call people, his ex-wife and one of his sons, and he's a lot of drama. And we just had an appointment with his psychologist from the VA. He's got a psychiatrist, a psychologist from the VA, and then a couple psychologists, civilian. And the VA psychologist was just like, he goes, well, I wish you a lot of luck. and he tried to talk to Mark to being kind and everything, and he was just like in front of Mark. I mean, conversations aren't behind his back. It's like, well, he resists and won't do whatever we've suggested that he do. We've done all the treatments that there are to do, and he still chooses to do things his way. And he said, so I would wish for you that you could have the peace that you want, because he says, what would you like? And I said, I just want peace. I just want it to be calm. And he said, that would be great, but unfortunately, that's probably not going to happen. That as long as he is able, he will cycle. Because he just chooses to do it his way, to think of things the way he wants to think of them. And that's one of the things, a lot of times, I mean, it is hard. It's a lot of shame and pain to realize when you've messed up. We've all been there. You don't want to think about it. And what's hard is, sometimes the victims end up hurting other people, which is what I did. But you have to go through the pain and the forgiveness, and it just really helps if you have a faith to fall back on, which that's what gets me through most anything. Anyway, lots of rambling. Stop victim blaming. Stop blaming everybody else. And try looking at things with reality. Because me and my kids aren't crazy. We weren't good. I fell in love with Mark. I thought he was sweet and kind and responsible and an upright, upstanding protector. And I thought, he would be a good, protector for the family, for me and the kids, and I knew he was wounded and damaged, and I just thought he needed love, which I could relate. I had a couple bad marriages, and he told me all about his bad marriage and how much he'd been cheated on, and they were going through a divorce, but she wanted the money, and she was fighting him for it, and I don't know, so many things, which then he turns around and lies on me to somebody else. Yeah, that was great. So, kind of, it's my diary. I can't write. My brain does not write things down, so this is just kind of a lot of rambling. I've tried writing a few pages, but just ramblings from a NARC abuse survivor whose husband is the narcissist and abuser. I really hate using that term, but it was abusive, but I don't want to use abuser. Just the narcissist husband that I'm married to, who is on hospice. That's a trip. That is a trick. So I keep trying to think, well, it's given me time to process my grief and my sadness and my pain and, anger at having been lied to and treated so badly. Anyway, that is just some real ramblings, right? From a NARC survivor, not trying to make it pretty or teachy, or it's just, hey, this is what's going on. So if you're one of us or something, make your own videos, talk about it. It is cathartic. It helps. Or write. If you're a journaler, write it down. So don't give up. Hang in there. As always, be blessed. I encourage everyone to get in touch with your spirituality, with the creator of the universe. We're talking later.